Thank you, Chairman. Minister, you're welcome to the House. Minister, I want to start off with the Green Line Lewis, which I'm very familiar with. Right now, the Green Line in the morning between about 7 a.m. and around about 9:30 a.m. at Glencairn, which is a very short distance from Bride's Glen, the Lewis trams are already packed. And I'm just wondering, there's massive development, as you know, right beside the British Ambassador's residence, which has taken place. There's additional development about to take place at the edge of Leopardstown Heights, and then we have all of the development that has taken place over in Aiken Village. I'm just wondering how you envisage the Green Line will be able to continue to meet demand in the area. Do you want me to give all the questions first, Chair, or do you want me to deal with them one at a time?
Discretion.
Yeah, well, you might deal with that one first for me, Minister, if you don't mind.
I was discussing earlier on that we have seen capacity increase by 30% recently. All 26 of the trams being 55 metres long, an additional 8 new trams being purchased. The key thing is increasing the frequency, and increasing the frequency, as I understand, can be added through work at the St. Stephen's Green Line junction. So there is capacity for us to increase that. You're right, I use that myself on a regular basis in the morning peak, and the numbers are starting to come back. But I think that can be addressed with those capacity issues. The longer term approach, as I was saying to Senator Horkin earlier on, is in my mind through the building of, well, firstly the Lewis line, which would go from UCD to Sandyford, that would take up some of those journeys, and also the development of the Bus Connect proposals as well. It is an integrated approach that the overall public transport capacity increases. It won't be upgraded to metro stations or metro stations in the long run, so that won't be the solution. I don't think it should be. I think it would be bad engineering solution. But I think you're right. There is significant development well beyond in Cherrywood and in Glencairn, as you said, at various points along the line. But I think the combination of capacity increases on the existing line, the addition of a new line on particularly that UCD Sandyford line, and the other public transport projects will be the way to manage the long-term development.
Okay, I incidentally would agree with you if we could have a cycleway right along that line all the way maybe into Ranelagh. It would be fantastic because it would serve a lot of secondary schools on the way and get kids off the road. As you're aware, Minister, and I know that you're favourably disposed to at least exploring the idea of very light rail for Galway. Galway City is literally at a standstill for more and more, almost to Barna in the peak hours. And the very light rail project that I discussed recently with some of the planning people, I think it has huge merit. You're talking about a feasibility study there. Are we talking about a full feasibility study for that, or is it just a sort of a desk exercise, Minister?
It's a full feasibility study. I don't know if you were listening earlier on. I was speaking to your Senator Buttimer, your Senate colleague, about Cork, and the development there, where we would look to build a really high capacity bus connects corridor through the city. And then when the demand is shown to arise, that we upgrade it to light rail. I think the second is a real possibility in Galway, that the real spine, or one of the spines, and I know that there was planned for 2 light rail lines in Galway that the group there rightly proposed, but the first one, as I see it, from Barna through near the Taylor's Hill and down to the hospital and across by the university, through the centre, over the Salmonweir Bridge, I think, isn't it, through the centre and out towards Parkmore and all the industrial estates. That route, which would cope with the real problem in Galway, which is that everyone living on one side of the city, working on the other side, that's the most urgent project. My understanding is the route is reasonably well advanced, that the proposals for that Salmonweir Bridge solution are already, I think it's already in the planning system, so that is progressing. So let's build that at full speed and full haste. And in the context of that, it'll be looked at next year, a review, okay, how would we then how would we upgrade it to light rail? I think that's the way to do it. Build the bus connects first, get the alignment, then it's much easier. If you know you have the alignment, you know you have the demand, you know you have the route, and you get the planning to back it up, then that's the way to make it happen.
Yeah, one of the things that's been done at the moment there is they're building a footbridge, not at the Salmon Weir, but if you remember where the old Clifton line used to be, building a footbridge across there to the university. It strikes me that there's an opportunity to invest there now and provide an additional bridge specifically for public transport, coming from Wood Quay, if you want, right across the Corrib on the old Clifton line into Newcastle there and feeding the hospital and all that area. I don't know how you feel about that.
No, I think that could be one of the options, or else you take the bridge which we use for the bus connects and convert it over back to light rail. That will take time, and it does require the bus connects to go in first. And I think that won't be easy. Like, there'll be difficult decisions, because Galway traffic, as you know, is probably the most congested, the least kind of the less best planned. So it won't be easy making the decisions to give the priority for the bus corridor. But if we can do that, I think that opens up the prospect of it being converted to light rail.
That's good, Minister. Listen, I appreciate your commitment to it, Minister. What do you call it? Connecting Ireland, the Galway proposals. I spoke to some of the people last week on this. I'm just a little concerned that some of the planning that has taken place at desk level, and people aren't aware on the ground. For example, I made the point last week that the Annadown commuter stop is actually 10.4 kilometres from Annadown, and the Corndulla one is actually 1.5 kilometres, I think, from Corndulla village. So I'm just flagging that for you, that we need people to actually get on the ground and be sure what they're talking about before they put plans in place with respect to the future commuter links coming into Galway City, because once again, it's all a question of getting as much traffic off the road as we possibly can in Galway. That's
the great advantage to it being in public consultation, is they can get that feedback and get the right route alignment, and and I think it's even down to, there was recently, we were talking to people in Ballinasloe around, we were putting in new local link services, whether connected to the hospital, and even understanding at a local level, what was the actual need, and I think it was really interesting in some of the examples developed recently, the use of local link services. Up in Leitrim, they incorporated them in that first rollout, and I think those local link services, I think it's almost a doubling or quadrupling of where we're envisaging of local link, because they have a lot of local knowledge and flexibility in terms of getting people to the right place and getting the stops in the right place.
Yeah, just on the issue of e-scooters, I know some of my colleagues mentioned it already. I am seeing an increasing number of parents with young children, and I mean very young children, on e-scooters as pillion passengers. There is no helmets from what I can see, and I believe it's only a matter of time before we will have, unfortunately, a fatality. So I'm just wondering, how soon are we going to get regulation in that area?
Well, it'll take, given that the bill is in the Dáil at the moment, have to get through the Dáil to go into the Shannon, it won't be, I would imagine it's early in the new year that we'll be probably seeing it clear the Shannon. And you know that it takes time to put regulations in place, particularly when you've got big safety issues, as we will have in terms of e-scooters. And there is this delicate balance. I look forward to debating with you in the Shannon. There's huge benefits from the use of e-scooters and a whole range of other new mobility options. But there are safety issues. It's not without risks and downsides. Now, I think the legislation's been framed in learning from other countries. We're very aware of what sort of other cities and countries have done. Most of them, in truth, are ahead of us in terms of introducing regulations around speed, around helmets, around where the e-scooters can or should not go. I think if I was to summarise it, it is more akin to cycling in terms of how they'll be treated. And I think as we build new cycling infrastructure, that's the right place to put, to have e-scooters, not on the pavement, but on the cycle lane. But I think, like cycling, it won't have mandatory helmets. We will have to have speed restrictions, because that is the biggest risk factor. But this is not without its own complications and safety issues around it. The sort of one you mentioned, where my recollection in the regulations were, I think, were precluding people being carried. I'll have to go back and check it, but that's not something that would or that is something that would raise concerns. So we look at the details of the regulations and the legislation when we get into the Shannon.
All right, Minister. Minister, just two quick other points. The issue of the Coast Guard, the Controller and Auditor General has highlighted a number of issues with respect to procurement. Have you initiated an investigation within your department to get to the bottom of procurement practices?
This issue, I think, will come up there's a meeting with this committee, I think, tomorrow in the Coast Guard, where it might be better, to be honest. I was going to brief for the National Development Plan here, and I'll be speaking in the Dáil this evening. We have statements on the R116.
Slightly different, Minister. It's a CNAG report.
It is, yeah. There is ongoing investigations, can I put it that way, and the department will be able to give further details tomorrow. But yes, I am concerned, and the department are doing further investigations into the matter.
All right, and then finally, Minister, as you know, the air navigation and transport bill is going through the Shannon at the moment, and it's a total loss to understand what the logjam is with respect to looking at the amendments that have been brought forward by the Irish Airline Pilots Association, which I have sponsored with others to go into the Senate. It seems to me that when a decision is made on a bill, that it's written in stone and nobody is prepared to listen to anybody. These are the experts. These are the people who fly the planes. And they to my belief anyhow, they're the people we should be listening to. Is there some ideological thing that prevents a minister from changing from the published legislation when there is good arguments made?
No, not at all, and I look forward to listening to the arguments. I think Minister Naughton introduced that at second stage, and I'm always open to, subject to advice from departments, to amendments. So I wouldn't rule anything out in that regard without promising it yet. I don't know the details of the amendments.
All right. Well, look, I mean, I look forward to progressing it through. And I mean, at the end of the day, the amendments we're talking about are about safety in the air. They're being by the people who are the practitioners on the ground. And I would implore and beg you to go back and talk to your department and ask them to do a little bit of listening on this one. Let's not waste time and delay the legislation going through the House. Thank you very much, Chairman. I appreciate the time.